Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because the beginning of 2026 has been an absolute glut of video game translations. Today we're taking a look at Macross M3 on the Sega Dreamcast. And I will honestly say this game is not very good as far as the gameplay is concerned. It's absolutely like a C- to C tier effort, but I know a lot of Macross fans out there absolutely love anything involving the franchise. And because this game is very story and lore heavy, and if you didn't read Japanese you wouldn't be able to understand it, this is going to make a lot of people happy for the experience, even if the gameplay is mid at best. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. I'm going to try to not be too mean to Macross M3 today. I don't think it is a bad game, I just think it's kind of an average at best game, just because the actual gameplay elements really aren't doing all that much. But the translation is really why 9.9 out of 10 people are going to be here, and now every single bit of the story is going to be in full conversational English, and honestly from the font to the formatting to the kerning, really makes it feel like something that we had back in the day, but now it's been made by fans. And that is going to be a big deal because even though I won't pretend to know much about Macross whatsoever, as far as the world building and lore is concerned, I know the audience out there for it's absolutely massive, and they will consume anything Macross related, especially if it is in English, and now you have a whole other effort for that, and every single thing in this game, from the actual dialogue here in the cut sequences to some of the menus, are going to be in full English as well. As we actually get into the gameplay elements here, I will say Macross M3 is definitely a pretty game. It might not be the most graphically advanced game on the Dreamcast, but it does a lot with the vibe and the world building around Macross in general. Unfortunately, when you get into the actual gameplay, it is like a C- tier Ace Combat from Namco or anything that Sega did in 3D in the arcades as far as actually piloting a plane around and shooting. That is because the mission structure is a little bit weird, and sometimes it can be incredibly difficult to actually find the enemies you want to shoot at in this game. But this intro right here, if it's not just based on Virtual On, I don't know what it would be based on. But again, you're going to get full English here with all of the story, and this before would be something that was impenetrable to anyone who didn't read and speak Japanese. And that really is the fun, because I would say the presentation here, the story here, is like a 9.5 out of 10. I just wish it was attached to something gameplay-wise that was better than like a 6 out of 10. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me if you ever played Macross M3 before and what did you think, because I know sometimes people get upset when I say a game isn't great, but the reality situation is I'm talking about this from the translation perspective, because fans and developers out there continually give their fan communities more and more fun to play, and I always love celebrating that on the channel, even if it's attached to a game that would be mid at best. But I totally understand it. What you hate I might love, even though the two Godzilla games on Dreamcast are widely considered to be terrible. I love them for all of their jankiness. But as you see here, not a lot going on when we actually get into the game. You have full 3D control, you have those arrows there showing where you need to go, and you have what basically amounts to a flat plane on the ground that would either be, I think in this instance, water, or maybe more sky. It is kind of hard to tell. And honestly, again, the one issue I have with this game is finding enemies and actually maneuvering towards them can be a little bit difficult. It's not the hardest thing in the world, it's just they kind of move around so fast that you feel like you're spending more time actually dogfight chasing them than you are shooting at them. And this is an area in the game where obviously you don't really require any support for Japanese language if you actually want to enjoy it. It is just the story which is paramount to the Macross M3 experience that you really need to understand, and now you're going to be able to do that. And there are still a bunch of Dreamcast games out there that do need to be translated. The number one on my list and a lot of people's list has got to be Segagaga, and I think maybe in the next 30 to 60 days you might be watching a video on the channel that says Segagaga has been fully translated, so definitely look out for that one. But again, as we maneuver around here trying to find that last plane before the timer actually runs out, this is where the game becomes infinitely frustrating, because you can have one plane left to shoot down, you can try to find out where they are, but you spend more time trying to actually locate them than you do shooting at them, so failing missions in this game is very easy to do, and you have to start everything again from the beginning. Let's move into the first soundtrack and voiceover sample, because all of the characters have dialogue as well as the written word, and it has good music as well as great voice acting. I'll be back in 45 seconds to talk more about Macross M3 gameplay, and why I think it could have been better than it actually was.
向こうがよろけたのさ。
マックスの周りではしょっちゅう女性の誰かがよろけてるのか？
誤解しないでほしいな。ただの知り合いだってば。
これも歴史の一部なんだ。私がさっき知り合いというだけでまるで珍しい動物みたいに見られるって言ったら、マックスはそう言った。
それは
緊急事態発生。ダンシングスカルは直ちにブリーフィングルームに出頭。
ほら、天才パイロット夫婦にお呼びがかかったよ。
I mean, the music's definitely a peaceful vibe, and the voice acting here is good, but the developer of this game, Warashi, definitely has a little bit of a weird track record when it actually comes to developing video games. They made stuff like Trigger Hard Exelica as well as Shinryu, which are absolutely amazing titles, so it seems like they really had a good way and workflow of making 2D shmups, but in the 3D realm definitely didn't hit the same way. But I do love all of the different details they put into this game. You can tell that they lovingly tried to recreate the world of Macross on Dreamcast, putting in all this visual flair, all of this voice acting, all of the dialogue, and everything else that goes into making this a very pretty and fun experience outside of actually playing the game. And this is just unfortunately where it kind of falls flat. This feels like a budget release as far as the gameplay in and of itself is concerned, which is totally fine if it is like a $10, $15 game, one of those PlayStation 2 Ages things, or one of those simple 2000s where you're not spending a ton of money. But if you'd actually picked this up back in the day, I think you would have been definitely disappointed by the gameplay. As you'll see, we're in another stage here, and basically it's the exact same background. Sure, things are going to change up, but it's so easy to lose missions time and time again, how you really have to struggle to want to actually finish the game, and that is not something that is good. But the reality of the situation is not every single game is going to be a 7, 8, or 9, or 10 out of 10. There's plenty of 5 and 6 out of 10 games out there that people still enjoy. And the way I look at it is, if you're not into the gameplay here that much, just think of the gameplay as minor distractions before you get the next story dump in the Macross universe. But I think this game could have been a lot better. I think in the control department it would have been nice to have a little bit more range of motion, a little bit quicker, and I think it would have been nice if they actually dialed down the speed of the opponent planes here, because sometimes they group up and you can get a decent look at them. Sometimes they completely separate and you're trying to hit 5, 6 different enemies all across the screen in under a time limit, and that really is the thing. The time limit kind of makes this game a little bit harder than it needs to be. It should have been your life bar against your opponents, and if it takes you 3-4 minutes to complete the match, then you totally could have done that. But Macross M3 also commits that cardinal sin of keeping some of the best levels and basically all of the decent levels till later in the game, because you start out here in the Sky Arena, but you're going to be going through different canyons, flying your plane, and different interior areas as well, and those are definitely some of the more fun ones, but actually getting there can be a little bit of the chore. I'm not saying that this is a bad game, I'm just saying that it is a little bit of a struggle to get to the good game elements, but again, I am showcasing this for the translation effort, not so much for the gameplay, because if I was doing a series on Dreamcast games, which I did some years ago, if you want to check the playlist, this is not a game that would ever make the short list or even the long list. It would just be a game that I would say, it exists, I own it, it's on my shelf, it comes in a really fun big box if you bought it back in the day cheap, and it isn't that much fun. But let's go into the second of 2 soundtrack samples here, because the one thing the game definitely does right is have some pretty good music. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, come back, I'll talk a little bit more about the translation and how you can get it patched if you want to check it out yourself. But enjoy it, because again, the music is the highest mark here.
星々の海を渡り無音の闇を越えて人類とゼントラーディ人は共に新たなる大地を求め広がっていった。しかしそれはまた新たなる戦いの始まりでもあった。平和を存続させようとする統合政府の支配力はその首引きから逃れようとする無数の反乱勢力を生み出し、辺境の惑星では絶えず両者の抗争が繰り広げられるようになってしまった。そして2014年、次々と発生する反乱勢力に対し統合軍はいかなる困難をも切り抜け反乱を鎮圧する特殊部隊として、
I mean, you can't say anything negative about the music or the voice acting in this one, so if you're interested in Macross M3, it has a full English translation today. I will leave a link to the patch below, but I'm pretty sure if you Google it, you'll probably find pre-patch versions as well that I can't help you with here. And this is absolutely amazing 10 out of 10 work as far as the translation is concerned, because it really shows that fans and developers out there want to bring as much fun to Dreamcast fans as they possibly can. And again, not every single game is just going to be one of those best games of all time. Honestly, only like 1 to 2% of games I talk about on the channel would be considered the best games of all time, and I would say like 50% of every single video game ever made kind of hits that middle tier, like 6 out of 10 mark in my opinion. Macross M3 is no different, but for fans of the franchise that want to get more story and understand what's going on in this game, for the first time ever, that is possible, and that deserves a video for me, because you know I love showcasing all of these developments. If you have played this one, leave me your reviews and thoughts down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.